Hey everybody, my name is Ed. Okay, so we're gonna do another random comic book walkthrough. This is gonna be Epic Illustrated number 11 from 1982, I believe. Um, some Harlan Ellison and some other interesting things. So we'll take a look in a moment. Oh, another junior draft. Cheers. Okay, so let's see here. The cover, I guess this is James Fox. Is that what that says back there, down there? It's pretty interesting, pretty cool. Like the whole kind of crazy sci-fi soldier guy with his crazy helmet. Very weird, very, I guess, European influence. For people who aren't aware, basically it says the Marvel magazine of fantasy and science fiction. So this was basically Marvel Comics doing their version of Heavy Metal magazine. Okay, so okay, inside cover, an ad for Champagne. Next ad, science fiction book club. 5 books for $1. That's a deal, right? Okay, table of contents. All right. And here's an ad for Dungeons and Dragons, the board game, which was really big during that time. And it doesn't say on here anywhere, but this art, I'm pretty sure, is Bill Willingham. Bill Willingham did some stuff for Marvel and DC. Did a series for maybe Comico called The Elementals, and he also is the writer for Fables for Vertical these days. So we got her overview, notes on contributors or whatever. Oh, here's the editorial staff. It says editor and publisher Stan Lee. But I told you I have a hard time believing like Stan actually put in editorial work. I think he's really just there as figurehead. Everybody pretty much knows that the real editor was Archie Goodwin, consulting editor James Shooter. He was the editor. He was editor in chief over the regular line of comics. Production vice president Milton Schiffman, associate editor Joe Duffy, design Nora Macklin and Barry Shapiro. Not too familiar with their names. But editorial Larry Hama. Okay, Luis Jones. Larry Hama, of course. Maybe no, might have been right around this time. Was the editor of GI Joe. Luis Jones was the editor of X-Men at that time when Chris Claremont was still there. Ralph Macchio, Linda Grant, I'm not too familiar with. Ralph Macchio is a guy who did a lot of the regular comics. Virginia Romita, I'm not too sure who that is. I'm not sure if this person is, excuse me, related to, um, John Romita. I got a weird message just popped up. John Romita, junior or senior or not. Well, this is interesting. Art production, Marie Severin and John Targaloni. And then lettering, okay. All right, okay. What do we got going on here? Okay. And oh, here's an ad for stocks and bonds. Okay. All right, the first story is Run for the Stars. Story by Harlan Ellison and Ken Stacy. The original code, this is interesting. The original copyright is 1957. Royal Publications. All rights, titles, and interested reassigned to the author in 1979. And I guess this was an adaptation of a loose series of short stories that had something to do with a war between Earth and this alien race. And I guess in this story, this dude was like some sort of junkie who was like looting and stuff. And the army catches him and they run some experiments on him. And they're like, blah, 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 we have this mission and we want you to do it because, as opposed to like regular soldiers who are just going to do the mission because they're brave men, you're the guy who's going to run because you're afraid of this bomb or gizmo or whatever that we planted you planted in your stomach. So you're the guy to do the mission because you're basically a junkie coward. Because you're a junkie coward. And here they show him like doing his drugs or whatever. And there go the aliens. All right, some interesting stuff going on here. Okay, all right. I really like these colors here. I think some of the other stories they had that they printed in Epic featuring this universe were in black and white. But these are in color here. And there he is, doing his thing. Okay, so he's running off. All right. Abraxas and the Earthman. Written and illustrated by Rick Veitch, uh, who has a history doing underground comics, lots of fantasy stuff. Ends up doing Swamp Thing for DC after Alan Moore and Steve Bissette left. And Steve Bissette was actually Rich Rich's partner at one point. And I guess this story was pretty much a science fiction retelling of Moby Dick. And it's funny too because part of the story is the main character has actually had his skin ripped off him, and he's walking around has his body with no skin, but he's still got his skin. He doesn't know how to put it on, so he just walks around with it tied around his neck and stuff. This whole thing is very weird and very trippy. The War of the Opposites. Look at him flying around these dragonflies or whatever. If you see his brain had been split. You're driving toward my face. Am I dead? No. You will see as you awaken. The face is a thing of the past. And then they put together two sides of his psyche. And he looks like this now. There's crazy stuff going on. And see, he's being reborn over here. He's walking around. Crazy ass stuff. Oh, here it is. Here's they show him. Here's your old body. They throw it at him, and it's like, hey, you work with me, and we can bring you back to what you used to be. And oh, the symbolism. Now look, here's somebody, bodiless head, powering the engines. Media View. This is Denny O'Neil. Denny O'Neil, famous Marvel DC writer and editor. Guy did the famous '70s series with Batman with Neil Adams. He also did the the socially conscious Green Arrow, Green Lantern run. Goes over Marvel, becomes an editor. Does Daredevil for a while after Frank Miller leaves. But then he went back to DC to take over Batman again, or I think he was just the main editor for that Batman. But this is looks like it's a review column, and he does the worst movies of the year, then the best movies. Some of the worst were Tarzan, The Ape Man, Legend of the Lone Ranger, Galaxy of Terror. I don't think I even heard of that. Galaxina, Clones of Bruce Lee. I haven't heard of that either. Incredible Shrinking Woman. I want to say, wasn't that a movie with Lily Tomlin? I haven't seen it, but I think that's what that was. And then the best are Raiders of the Lost Ark, American Werewolf in London, Wolfen, Superman 2, Excalibur, and Night Riders. And I think that was some remake of the King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, but with like bikers or something. Okay. This is interesting. An ad for ElfQuest. Okay, at last, full color. Alright. Okay, that's interesting. Again, one of the early early indie books that was distributed through the direct market, along with like I think the three titles that people really give credit to from people who were there were like ElfQuest, Cerberus, and First Kingdom or whatever. An Imperial Message by Franz Kafka, adaptation by Leopoldo Doranama. Nana. I can't pronounce any of these words, these names, so F me. But it is very interesting looking art here. Okay. Right. Okay, here's another one. Before the Law. Oh, wow. Very interesting. One thing about the stories in Epic Illustrated versus the stories that were being presented in Heavy Metal at exactly the same time, a lot of the stories were a lot more straightforward and just a lot more conventional. Even the weird, trippy stuff had a lot more clear narrative going on. I think a lot of it's because, quite frankly, it was a lot more American science fiction guys and fantasy guys, and I think it was that. And they're just trying to do straight ahead genre work. Here's Weird World, The Dragon Master of Clarn, written by Doug Monch and drawn by John Buscema and rendered by Marie Severman. Yeah, and they're a lot more like just traditional uh, comic book people as opposed to being European guys who were trying to be psychedelic. Here we go. Okay, and they're going around on their little quest. The lady elf is all kind of acting weird and kind of evil. Whoop. Let's be careful here. I don't want this to fall out. Oh no! These staples are loose here. So I want to be a little bit more careful. So I don't want this to fall out while I'm showing it to you. Let's move along here. Okay, but really interesting colors and things like that. Oh, a tribute to Woody, the art of Wallace A. Wood. So he had just died at that point. Here they're just showing some of his more, I guess, racier stuff. I think this is from, oh, I don't know. But here we go there. Spawn of Venus. Okay. There's interesting detailed stuff going on here. Joan of Arc. That's what's that character's name? Dynamo from the Thunder Agents. Okay, here's some stuff from his self-published stuff. I think it's called Wits In. Sally Forth, canon. Book review by Joe Duffy. It's basically her just talking about ElfQuest. Here's a prose piece with illustration. The illustrations by Joe Jusko and the stories by Robert Rowdy. Advice to a Barbarian. It's kind of a little spoof. Rob Rowdy did some writing for Comics Journal. And then I know he's also done, like, he's done some stuff for Marvel and DC too. First thing that comes to mind, I know there was like a Rogue series, like, I don't know, 10 years ago or a little bit before then. Rogue from the X-Men. And then, he also did Knockout for DC or Vertigo. Okay. And this is pretty nice looking. Marta the She-Wolf by Chris Claremont and John Bolton. I know this was originally pitched to Marvel by Chris Claremont as a Red Sonja story. However, for whatever reason, it ended up getting changed to original character. And it's one of those things where it's like, oh, okay. Well, now I can push some of my ideas and themes a little bit further. But this art is really, really cool looking. Just excellent sort of gray tones and mid tones and stuff like that. The black and white art here is just so excellent. Okay. It is cool. I want to say I think this image was actually used in some of the advertisements for this mag. So I think it was. I think it was. My memory's not that super great. All right. It is cool looking. Pow, big good spread. Here she kills the demon. Arrgh. We are both avenged. Okay, then here's the rest of the Harlan Ellison story. the guy basically confronts the scientists from the aliens. He actually gets the alien scientist to take out the bomb in his chest. And then he finds the troops. And he's like, listen, you guys don't have a leader anymore, so I should be your leader. And I'm going to take you to Earth. Grr. Okay. All right. Now what's this? Feedback. These are, oh, just basically letters page. Ad for oil filter. And an ad for Yukon Jack. Okay, so then that is it. Thank you very much for watching. You guys have a great day.